Hi everyone, it's Jen at 2021 Visual Arts Centre. Today we're going to be mindful doodling. This is a great activity to relax and relieve stress. Once you get into it, it's very much like a kind of mindful meditation. All you need for this activity is some paper, a pen, a pencil, and a ruler. Doesn't matter what quality of paper you've got. The paper that I've got here, it's just a cheap sketchbook. The ink does bleed on the paper, so it's best to get a nice quality paper if you can, but it doesn't matter. If you haven't, just use any paper that you've got around at home. Okay, let's get started then. The first thing we're going to do is draw out a grid of 9 boxes. I'm going to make my boxes 4 centimetres wide and tall. You don't have to do this if you don't want, it just helps to contain them. If you don't have a ruler, don't worry, just freehand draw them, or just skip it altogether if you want to go rogue. In my first box, I'm going to draw a wiggly line. I'm then going to draw another one parallel to kind of make it into rope. Now what I'm going to do is draw some other wiggly lines in a random fashion. When you're skipping over the lines, just make sure to go behind the lines so you don't go over the top of the lines. Keep going until you're happy with the amount that you've got, and when you're happy with the amount that you've got, colour in the background. Doodling's a really good way to focus your mind on the activity at hand. It increases concentration, problem solving ability and creativity. Okay, so on to our next box. This is the activity that I find the hardest for some reason. So all I'm going to do is draw 4 lines and just each time change the direction of the lines. Make sure they're not just vertical and horizontal. Make sure you put some diagonals in there as well. This one really hurts my head for some reason. But that's what we want to do. We want to challenge ourselves in our decision making. The reason that I chose these patterns for us to do today is that they're all randomised, which means they force you into making a decision. In this box, we're going to draw circles. I'm going to draw them all different shapes and sizes, but what you want to do is make the circles touch each other, so make sure there aren't any gaps. One thing I hear a lot from adults is people saying that they can't draw, and people are often really self-conscious about their drawing and have a real lack of confidence. So this activity and just doodling and practicing drawing is a really great way to increase your confidence and just remind yourself that actually everybody can draw. Now we're going to do oysters. So we're going to draw 4 interlocking teardrop shapes. So do 1 teardrop and then just extend the line out by 3 lines. It's really useful here to kind of change the direction of the oysters if you can. Start from a new corner, just make sure you're getting them all random and you're not just doing them all in the same direction. It's quite a hard activity. You'll find that you encounter some gaps that you have to fill, so it's okay to twist the oysters or bend them round, just keep them all to the same kind of proportions. I find doodling a really good way to kickstart your creativity. If you've experienced a block or lack of inspiration, it's really nice to just sit and doodle for a while and just let your mind wander. For this cube, it's our central cube, we're about halfway there. We're going to create a sort of conical pyramid. This really reminds me of the golden ratio. It's a wonderful repeating pattern that will just end up in a really effective result. For this one, it's best to go slow and just keep your pen on the paper. I'm going to speed up slightly now just so you're not bored watching me do this for ages. This time we're going to create a variety of different shapes of semicircles around the outside edges of the box. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go back around each one, and I'm going to extend that out by 2. I'm going to go around in turn, and I'm going to extend each one by 2 semicircles. And what you're going to find is that you're soon going to encounter some problems that you're going to have to solve as the arches overlap each other. As you can see, I've solved the problem by moving round in an anti-clockwise fashion, meaning that the archway on the left is always going to dominate over the one on the right. At this point, I'm totally relaxed and so focused on what I'm doing that I've forgotten the randomized pattern that I was going to do here. So we're going to fill this one with some nice mermaid or fish scales. Don't worry if you go wrong on a pattern or a doodle. Try to finish the whole page off instead of ripping it up and starting again. I think it's also really useful to just use pen. Don't bother penciling it in first and then going over later in pen. Just commit to the pen. What I'm doing is I'm drawing some wiggly lines again. I think wiggly is better than straight, but it's up to you. What I'm now doing is I'm taking 2 points, 2 connecting points, and I am joining them together and extending them out with other lines. This pattern looks really kind of psychedelic when it's finished. So do as many as you can on that point and then find some other points to join. So now I'm going to join those 2 points together and keep going. Don't get frustrated if you make a mistake in your doodle, just accept it, try and learn from it and just use that information to do it differently next time. If you solved a problem in a particular way this time, if you then repeat it again, just try and solve the problem differently next time. It just increases your repertoire and it just will give you a different pattern for next time. Now that I've joined all my lines together, I'm now going around the outside edge and I'm trying to fill all the negative space that I've got. Just extend all your lines out, use the outside border lines to create 2 new points if you want, or just fill the gaps as best you can. And what I'm doing is creating circles. Some of them are small enough to fit within the field and some of them are extending off. When I'm happy that I've got enough sections, I'm then going to start filling in the sections. So I'm going to fill in this section here, but then I'm not going to fill out the 2 neighbouring sections. So it's okay to fill in sections, but just make sure that those 2 sections don't touch. So this is the game. I'm going to change the direction of the lines that I'm filling the boxes in with, and for some of them I'm going to do crosshatch. And of course you can expand all these out to make them much larger if you like. Or you can combine them together in the same shape. Thank you very much for watching the video and we hope to see your creation soon over at the Facebook page.